You are listening to Shameless Stories, and I'm Nicola Humber, founder of the Unbound Press, soul-led publishing company for magical women writing world-changing books. And we are delighted to be the sponsor of this podcast. So enjoy, magical one.
Welcome to another episode of Shameless Stories. This week, I am joined by the magical Dot Winter. I'm so excited to have you. I'm like such a fangirl.
Oh, stop. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, very excited. And I did the classic thing of getting into the chat before we actually started pressing record, which is standard really on this podcast. And I'm going to shamelessly own that. So Dot, tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're a spiritual healer, but all of the things as well, right?
All of the things. Okay, so I'd say that I'm a spiritual healer because I think it's a broad enough spectrum and to draw in like a multitude of different tools, techniques and expressions in order to do my work. It doesn't pigeonhole me and it allows me flexibility. So as someone who's neurodivergent, I find it difficult to get to just be focused on one aspect of healing. So by calling it spiritual healing, I've got no boundaries basically. So that's why my core kind of me as a practitioner. But I also do gua sha facials, which are absolutely just so much beauty comes from that. I run circles, I teach, and I'll do like the odd ceremony for somebody if they ask.
I love that. Oh, I love that so much. I love the fact that you're so like everyone that comes on this podcast is so multifaceted and owning every single aspect of themselves. I love that part. This is the shameless bit, right? This is where we get to be limitless. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about like kind of where you started out, and like you've got a real thread of art through your kind of past, if you like. So tell me a little bit about like where you came from, what landed you in healing, right? It's like that's the journey that.
Okay, so it's, I guess, you know, the thread begins quite early, but I had a very turbulent teenage adolescence. I was a CAMS kid, so I wasn't attending school. I had chronic depression, so I was kind of out of the system, as it were, for a long time. And then I just had really, really bad mental health, which made me experience lots of things that are really difficult relationships, lots of different avenues that I won't go into. But what it paused my education as such. So by the time that my peers were going to picking universities, I was at college, quite high in a bad relationship, and I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna do what everyone else is doing, just go to university. But it wasn't really like, I never really wanted to, and I just picked art because that was kind of like what was okay. I thought I was all right at it. So off I went to uni, and that's that one story. But when I was at university, my father passed away just as I was about to do my degree show, and I came home to look after my mum. And I guess that was like my first experience. Well, not my first experience. I guess like it was quite a big rite of passage to lose a parent. And that was layered on top of all the other stuff. So fast forward, got in a relationship with somebody who I'm still with today. So it's been 14 years. But after 6 months, I became pregnant. And we were like in a house, a little baby. I was on benefits, I wasn't working, I was really stuck in that benefit cycle. It's so hard to get out of. We were really low income, everything was so hard, and I just remember so desperately needing something. I can't even remember the real like point of like what drew me to my spiritual development, apart from the fact that I've just got this memory of being like, I'm going to go to a spiritual development group and wandering up the road to this little hut where I lived, And I went to the wrong meeting. I went to like some ascension meeting, and it was a bit of a shock to the system. We had to sit in these like chairs in a circle, and this woman for like a full hour was like channeling Saint Germain, and I've never felt so like physically uncomfortable. I just remember thinking like, when will this be over? When will this be over? Anyway, the long part of that is that afterwards she was like, how are you feeling? I said, I feel really unwell. She was like, well, come for some Reiki. And I was like, okay. Went along, and she gave me Reiki, and I could just feel the tangibility of the energy around my head. It was like spaghetti getting pulled out of like my brain. And I was like, how am I feeling this? Like, how am I feeling it so much? And I guess it just born into this thing of like, if I'm feeling this, and I'm probably feeling everything, and maybe I'm not this strange disassociated person who's never fully landed on planet Earth, but maybe I'm feeling everything all the time, and I just haven't worked out quite yet how I can connect with it. So fast forward a bit, I ended up doing a Reiki course with somebody who became my Reiki master for quite a long time. And I began like practicing, and I was just so hyper focused. It's like the biggest hyper focus of my life. I was like doing 20 case studies just on that first level, just because I wanted to give so much, because it made me feel so good. And this level, it sounds quite selfish, but it made me feel good. And I hadn't felt good for such a long time, that sense of worth of, you know, having somebody after an hour sit up and say how relaxed they felt. I actually thought, oh my gosh, like I'm good at something, I'm doing something. And you could imagine, like, I'd never felt that ever in my life, to give and receive, and actually like the skill or the you know, the recipient receiving me. It was so powerful. And then I just like super hyper focused on it. So then I did my level 2, and then I did my master's, and then when she changed, I changed, and then suddenly I was going up to doing like a different type of Reiki, and I just focused so much. Sarah, like literally just I've dedicated my life to it, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to give, and it gives me a sense of like a sense of place, I guess.
It's just so powerful though, right? Once you found something that you really, really love, I mean, it just goes to show that, like we were talking off camera about, you know, first of all, we want to honor you sharing the story. Just loving what you just shared, because like I can sense that passion and in the healing that you do, and the, you know, what you're here to do. This is what you're here to do, right? You found it. And like the fact that you were in the wrong room, I mean, started all of that. Like, it's just, I love those moments. I call them sliding door moments. It's like, well, there was a moment in time when I could have been in a different room, you know, a different path, in something completely different. But also the fact that there must have been an element of, like we talked about, what shame means to you. Do you feel like you might have felt like that until you visited this Reiki healer?
I think but I feel like I've carried shame all my life, and I feel like it's something I continually work with, and so much. I mean, if you've got a backstory, everyone does. Everyone's got like a story or experiences, but I suppose like when I was 14, you know, I tried to commit suicide, and I think that from that point, that was my sliding door, because as a young person, you don't actually know who you are. You don't know, you know, that's the deepest shame, because it's not just about you, it's about your family, and then the wider community, and then you've got a label. And then with mental health, like we all have mental health, and mental health is always fluctuating, and so it's something I live with, you know, like sometimes I don't have great mental health, but Reiki is the stabilizer. My work is my stabilizer. And with that, you know, so that shame, it's like I carry it. I don't carry, you know, it's like it's the shadow part. I carry it, but it fuels me. So it's not necessarily about looking at that shame and being like, oh, I want to squish it, I want to alchemize it. It's about like holding that. So when I'm with people, enables me to really be with people. I feel unshockable. There's nothing anyone could say to me that would ever make me want to pull away and not reach out to meet them with compassion. So I think shame is definitely a vehicle that assists me in my work. I can't remember what the question was. Sorry, I went off on a tangent then.
Well, no, but I love the tangent.
But like, I think like this idea of like shame is something that you experience and it happens. But I think if you've experienced like a multitude of like trauma, it's difficult to unpack that, because it's very complex. And so shame can turn up with like, I don't know, like smoking and then giving up and then smoking again, that shame of like returning back to like a habit, like, and that could be any habit, couldn't it, from like overeating, that the shame of like, oh, have I not got over it yet? Am I not better yet? Why am I still reminiscing about that? Why do I still dream of them? Like, shame is this sense of like cloud, you know. And I feel like shame is with me, but it's not ruling me.
I think that's the difference. It's like you're looking it in the eye and you can acknowledge that it's there, but it's not impacting you like perhaps it might have done when you were younger, right? Like you're saying, you know, when you're young, you're vulnerable. We don't I think a lot of our shame stories arrive when we're young, and then we spend the rest of our adult lives unraveling them.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And I think, like, you know, this whole concept of like purpose, like, I think to have a purpose is so healing and important for people to have a purpose, even if it's even if you're just like, you've got a boring job, or you perceive as a boring job, but you're being creative in like your spare time, like that's a purpose. Like, you're still producing, you're still like expressing part of who you are. Like, that also is so important, isn't it?
It really is. You know, and just like going back to that kind of sense of like Reiki gave you a sense of kind of power and self-awareness. Like, we talked about that very briefly off camera. I guess I always thought, well, I trained as a Reiki master. I had a similar experience where I went and I had postnatal depression, and we unraveled some stories that like started deep seated in when I was born type thing. And I kind of flip-flopped between, like, I really believed it. I needed to believe it because I needed to heal this fucking thing that was hanging over me. So I went, this healer was amazing. She removed a big ball of brown kind of energy from my womb space, and I felt like someone had switched on a light in my head. And then it was weird, like for a few years I was seeing things and unicorns, and oh my god, I could feel that and I could see that. And then all of a sudden I switched it all, somehow either switched it all off or it integrated, and I don't know whether the magic just happens now. And like, there's an element of like shame for me around that, in that, oh, I'm not magical anymore. I'm not like standing over. Do you know what?
You are. Yes, you are magical. Like, I totally get it. But I feel like, from what you've just said, it's like, it's integration. Because I think also, like, I guess this is the thing about Reiki, right? Because you get always different types of Reiki, you get different types of practitioners. But the healing is about the person receiving, right? So if a healer ever says to you, like, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that, sometimes that can be really detrimental to somebody's experience, you know. And as someone who works with lots of different types of people, not every single person I meet do I see all sorts of stuff. But because my practice is that clearing, I'm always doing something. So I'm always, like, you know, touching and moving the energy. But if I don't see anything on that person, I just like, but that person might have received in such a way. So it sounds like kind of like you had this opening, you received what you needed to in terms of like that connection to that other side. So it's like, oh, enough for Sarah right now. She's got to like go and do something else. but I get it. It's a very strange place, you know, spiritual healing, because you know you can see all sorts of things, but you know I've had people go like, oh, what did you see? And I'm like, nothing. But I felt stuff like, but I think the thing is, it's why I love distant healing, is that with distant healing I can close my eyes. So when I'm working in my practice, I don't close my eyes when I'm working, because I want to keep my eye on the client, making sure that they're okay. So I'm checking their breathing, I'm checking how they're responding to what I'm doing. So I'm always present with them. So you end up being in two spaces at the same time, like tangibly feeling in their energy you want to break up, looking at your client, being with your client, being with their energy. Whereas when I'm doing distant healing, it's like I can close my eyes, and if I'm closing my eyes, then I can go into another space completely and do different work. So maybe you need to just do some distant healing.
I think I probably do need to. And I wonder if there's people listening that probably would have resonated with that, because, you know, there is like this whole, I remember when I started, it's like, there's still this conditioning in me. It's like, when do I get the certificate? When do I know that?
Well, that you've arrived?
Yeah, that I've arrived. It's like, but I've had to square, I mean, like, this is a few years ago now. I've squared that away in my own psyche, but I know that, you know, your journey, your healing journey as a spirit, you know, working in a spiritual environment or with spirit, there's always this, like, you get to sometimes we get to a little bit of a brick wall. We have to move through the next story or the next thing we have to break down. And I do feel like sometimes, yeah, I see it coming now. It's like, oh, here we are again. Like, let's clear that. What shame story am I bringing up today? But anyway, I'm going off on a massive tangent right now. But I do want to kind of bring it back to, like, you were talking about the distance stuff, and something that we were talking about again off camera was the trusting and the absolute faith that the modality works. And like, I'm not kind of questioning what you do, but what I am conscious of is there will be people out there that don't believe it or don't understand it.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
that's okay. I mean, so this is why I call it spiritual healing, right? So like in traditional Reiki, like sending distant healing is essentially like, you know, sending energy to that person. Whereas what I do is like kind of go into that person, which sounds a bit weird, but like I connect to that person and I just enter into their body, because I have a process. Like I have a process, and I think for me, process is like the foundation of working with energy. Like you have to have like a process basically. So I mean, I just kind of move into that person and then I work methodically down through the body. I'm working around, so I'm not necessarily working with the chakras, I'm working with the body, you know, the elbows, the shoulders, like what's going on in the heart. And I work to clear energy, not necessarily just to send energy. So I think in that sense of abstraction, you're able to sense into someone else's energy body so much easier. And I think if you do it over time, you become just very very capable of doing that. And I think part of that is that I've practiced doing it, but I think also, like I mentioned before, like having trauma has given me a heightened perception of other people's emotional stuff, you know, being hyper arousal, recognizing body movements, eye twitches, what people's faces are doing, all those like readings and scannings you've done from my childhood. Also being like on the spectrum, it just allows me to have like a greater sense of people's energy. So to me, there is no barrier, even if someone is far away. One, that person has asked for me to enter their energy field. And I think within that contract of like, hi, yes, at 10 o'clock, I would like some distant healing, please. It's like we both open with like, okay, I'm coming and I'm looking. And then, you know, I share that through a couple of mediums. Like one, I draw people. So I draw the energy that I'm seeing, I'm drawing the person. So then that person has like a visual image of like what I'm seeing and what I'm talking about. And then sometimes that's really affirming for people because it's true. Like, oh yeah, I really resonate. Yes, I can see that. Like visually I can see that. And with the cartouche or the cards I work with, they have a reading, and often that's really helpful because they resonate. And often people say they feel it. So I guess like for me, I don't have like the limitations of worrying about what that perception is from other people. I don't worry about whether that's true or not, because I just do it. I know it sounds a bit flimsy,
but it's not flimsy at all, because that is I think ultimately where we want to be. Like, this is the shameless part of what you do. It's like you don't feel that because you are so rooted in your ability. And
because I've done it over and over again. Like it's the more you trust, it's like if you talk to any medium out there, any psychic, it's almost like when you get a sense about something and your brain goes, well, that sounds absolutely mental, it can't be true, but you don't discard that information. You go, that sounds absolutely mental, well, we'll keep that. we'll keep that, because and it's things like your imagination is also part of like the capacity for psychic work. Is also like our imagination, I think, with being quite creative and arty. So if how I see the body or how I'm working with the body is that, perhaps I might be seeing a cage, or perhaps I might see some sort of like plant or animal, or like the body will reflect back to me very metaphorically. But because my brain's like, oh, cool, that's really helpful to imagine it as that, let's undo that knot, for example. I'm there with the knot because I can see it. And whether that resonates as like a literal knot or not, I'm doing it. Therefore, I can sense that the freedom of whatever was sitting there. So I know that I've done my work. And I think that's the thing that's with distant work. When I first started, I had such a difficulty working out how was I going to offer this? Because just before like COVID, when I went self-employed, I had quite a few people. When Instagram was a different place, I had when it was a different world entirely. I had lots of people who found me from like America and other places, and they wanted to have healing, and I was like, oh, I've got to do it authentically. I've got to feel it's real. So like when I first did it, I was setting up a camera and I had my couch out and I was doing it and I was recording it, then uploading it privately to YouTube for that person to like look at, so I could prove for a full hour I've been doing something. And then after a while I was like, okay, I'm going to start offering this online group healing, but I'm not going to get the couch out. I'm going to just sit down and I'm just going to try doing what I would do on the couch, but I'm going to say what I'm doing and I'm going to sit up and do it. And people loved it. And then it's like, well, if people are feeling it, then I'll just crack on. So it's like you
do the theatric. It's like
it's finding a way that feels right, that feels like authentic to you, and you just have to go with it. It's like you have to just keep trying and finding the way that feels right. And once you find it, it's almost to have the blinkers on and be like, this is who I am, going to show up, because there's people who need you. If you go like, oh, bit worried about like whether it'll work or what people will think, then you won't do it, will you? And then that person who's like needing some healing and wants to work with you, but like you're not sure of yourself, they're not going to want to work with you, are they? So
and I'm guessing that is when the damage can get done, if you're not completely sure of yourself. And I guess
it's just because basically there are like so many healers out there, like so many healers, and there's a real like layer of people out there who are not good. And I don't mean because they haven't got like healing hands. I just mean like they don't work with integrity. They don't consider what they're saying, because words are incredibly powerful. If you tell somebody, oh, you've got a blocked sacral chakra, then that person can go on for the rest of their life feeling that they've got this block. I have people come and see me and they're like, now before we start, I know my throat's blocked, and I've seen someone, they tell me I've got a black aura. It's like, it's like that kind of stuff, it's just so harmful and hurtful, and like, just come on, people, like, you know, energy is always fluctuating and changing, we're always changing, so we have to allow people to feel the freedom that energy can just be like, can be cleared and moved. And it's just, people don't have to hold on to these constructs, because, you know, they are very westernized systems that we took over, and we're like, yeah, great, we'll create a system for it. And that's the problem, isn't it? It's like we have these systems and they just, you know, people get stuck in them.
Well, we recreate what we have tried to step out of, effectively. It's so deep rooted in us, isn't it? Sometimes it's like, well, yes, so this, yeah, I must prove that I'm doing, like you said, like you started out proving that you were doing something, and that is so deep seated in us. Like,
yeah, I'm like, doing it right.
Working.
I'm doing it right. Honest, I'm worth your money. Like, thanks. And it's such a shame, isn't it? And like the money thing is a really interesting thing. And I know that I mean, to have a session with me, I think costs medium. High, medium, low. I think I'm medium, but there are people out there who charge like high, you know, and there are people out there who charge like really low. And I guess the money thing is such a fascinating thing as well when it comes to spiritual work, because you get people who don't charge a lot, and then it's like, should they be charging more? Like, do they not value themselves enough? But then you have people who are like really high ticket, and it's like crazy money, crazy, and you think, you know, and even that is an interesting like system in itself. Like, yeah.
Well, I guess that's why people teach the healing, because that, I mean, that's the thing that I learned was, you know, to become a Reiki master, you need to learn to do it on yourself. And, you know, wouldn't it be an amazing world if everybody knew how to manage their energy?
Yes, yeah, definitely. But, and you know, and I think more than just even managing your energy is having that autonomy. So like, you know, oh gosh, I've got a headache, you know, or I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I need to take 5 minutes, I'm going to give myself healing, like, you know, but yeah, I mean, I think everyone should have that self-awareness, because it's that self-awareness that totally began my journey to be like, oh, you know, my body's been speaking to me all this time.
And we never listen to it.
No. Even now, it's like, oh, dodgy shoulder. It's like, oh, what's going on? You know, because no matter how much work you do on yourself, you're always working. Like, it's never ending, you know. I think that's often like the misconception, isn't it? It's like, oh, you're a spiritual healer, so you've got to be like, you know, vegan and like doing yoga and meditating every day. But like the reality is, like, you know, I'm a mom of 2, you know, like I'm self-employed, so I'm like, I'm working a lot, I'm thinking up new ideas, I'm creating stuff, got to clean the house, got to do the dishes, got to pack lunch stuff. And then, like, you know, your shoulder goes and it's like, oh, hang on, what's going on there? You know, because like I'm a human being. So it's like your body is always expressing itself. And even no matter how much work you do, there's always something else to unfold, something else to consider. That's the joy of healing, right?
100%. And, you know, just like leaning into, you're a mum of 2, right? And me also, it means that you have to do it faster. You have to kind of like, you can't come off retreat and sit and flop about for 2 weeks. Like,
oh God, I wish.
It's like you have like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is it. You know, being a mum is hardcore. That's it. And I'm not diminishing anybody out there who isn't a mum.
No,
because we're you know, that's right. Because the people out there care for other people, but it's that sense of like, you know, you're always online. You're always online as a mum, and I know that I, for myself, like, there's so much ancestral stuff and work that I've had to do. Like, my mum died maybe like 3-4 years ago, and I think from that point, I've always, now I have, like, our unit is just our unit. Like, there is no one else. Then the responsibility, the emotional responsibility is just kind of within myself and my husband. Like, there's no one else to pass the kids over to, and that's that is really challenging. So it's hard work, you know, regulating yourself, regulating your children, knowing that one of them's definitely like, you know, within on the spectrum, needs extra assistance. Like it is a lot. But I also see like the magic in them, and like their experience also within the spiritual world, you know. Like we often, like, well, a big thing we've been doing since, especially just before COVID, was that we visit lots of water sites and wells and springs. Like that is my other obsession. I'd say it's secret, but if you follow me, it's not so secret. Love water, love like holy wells and stuff. So going with them, it's like that's like the Alka-Seltzer, because not only is it healing me, but it heals them, because I'm obviously like decompressing and finding the joy in it, but also they get to experience that. And maybe one day they'll be like, oh, my whole childhood I was just looking at water. So oh, they'll like go 360 and they'll be like, come to my water ceremony. Who knows? But anyway,
but they love it though, don't they? Like I you know, there is what happens at school and friends and, you know, Netflix and all of that, but also there's such a difference in taking the girls out in the van, or we've got a woods just literally over there, and like even last night I was like, let's go for a walk. Oh.
not that walk again. Go back to the woods, Mum.
Like, come on, let's go. And then when you get them there, like you can see them like offloading.
Oh, definitely the change. Like on Friday we went to Stonehenge. I took my daughter out of school, and we spent the weekend in Glastonbury. Oh, that was bloody hot. But it's so important for them to like experience like other people. Like I'm in the countryside. My son goes to school in Tunbridge Wells, which is very kind of like, it's quite money driven, and so he's at secondary school, and it's all about like brands, what you're wearing, the look. Everyone looks the same. I know it's probably a teenage thing, but I'm sure in our day there was more different fractions. But anyway, there's a certain look, and it's like, you know, you take him out of that context, and then you go somewhere with like Glastonbury, where you've got people wandering around with their dreads and their, you know, shoes off. I know it's an extreme comparison, but it's important for him to see that other people exist in this world, and they don't all just look like that.
Yeah,
you know, yeah, I'm not saying like be friends or be like that person, because the question is, what does that person do for like work and how do they live? But how do you get by? But at the same time, it's like, look, these people, other people, they're like they're quote unquote free, or they think they're free because they're not part of that. And I just think it's important to see it, even if you don't like it, even if it's uncomfortable, is to kind of be like, you know, there's other people in this world who
different ways of living.
Different ways of living.
Yeah, and yeah, and like,
I mean, it's different for you because you live in Glastonbury, right? So
no, I live in Hampshire. So
do you? I don't know why I thought you lived in Glastonbury.
Oh no, I'm very middle. You know, I'm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're Commuterville, so we live just outside out of London, but I'm in 2 hours from Glastonbury, and
I see.
I take the girls down. And it's funny because we'll get there and my eldest will go, I need to get some clothes. I need to be Glastonbury this week. My clothes don't work.
I won't fit in. Yeah. Oh, love it.
Yeah. So that's their kind of age. You know, they're in they're 11, 9, 11. So they're still feeling all of that. But it's just, yeah, I hear you on that. But we're woods. But we, you know, we've similar, not Tunbridge Wells, and in fact I was in Tunbridge Wells about 2 months ago, so I can picture it, but we have a similar thing. They're all in their Nike Pros, and they're all in their, you know, specific trainers, and it's all very
uniform.
But it is a teenager type thing, and we all go through it to fit in. But I feel like having mums like us, there will be that grounding where they, you know, it might come in handy when we least expect it. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, the school system is like another system, isn't it, to like rally against. I think that's what I find myself, I'm like doing it again. I'm like, oh no, I'm back doing it again, like fighting another system within like the school. And yeah, that's a whole nother piece really, isn't it? But yeah, it's important that we're like the anchors of, like, you know, I think we're quite normal in comparison to like the mainstream. This feels more, I feel like what I'm saying is quite normal and down to earth, and I think it's important for them to have that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big thing that I took away from COVID years and kind of the work that I do with clients is it's all about being curious, being discerning, asking questions, not just accepting what's being shown all the time. And I think that if we can encourage that in our future generations, and we can stay like that too, then we're going to be all right. You know, that is living shamelessly, because you're not constantly living, you know, a lie, or you're more likely to be who you truly are rather than somebody else.
And then you're showing your children that, aren't you? You're showing your children how to show up without the fear of perception.
Well, yeah, and obviously going to the water, one day they'll be like, do you remember when we did this? And
they won't forget. They won't forget.
When they have kids, they'll be taking them to those things. I take my kids to pilgrimages of where I went when I was a kid. You know, I think it's important to do that. So it's amazing that you're creating those memories as well.
I better be. I've got about 80 jars of water on the sideboard. They're probably looking at that like, do you need some more, Mum? The joke really is, like, you know, when I die, they're going to have to go back and go to all of those sites and they like pour the water back. That's my little joke. my son's like, what? I wrote in my will, you're going to have to like revisit all those sites. You're like, oh, there you go. My last gift.
Oh, I love that so much. And I could talk to you for so much longer. But I probably think we should wrap this up now.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, leave it on my death wish. Yeah, sorry.
Is there anything you'd like to leave?
Oh gosh, no, that's a bit of pressure there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just like, it's just, you know, finding out who you are is like that. It's like the hardest quest of all, isn't it? It's like pulling in all of your parts and being with them, all the cringy, difficult parts of us. But it's like, it's the realization that everyone has that.
Yeah, we're not alone.
It's just that people don't always talk about it. That's all it is. People just often too afraid or ashamed to name it.
Yeah, to name it.
Yeah, name it.
I love it. Oh, well, where can people find you, my love?
You can find me on Instagram. Have I got to say my handle? I don't know how you do that one.
Just look in the notes.
Okay. So I was like, what is HTTP? So Instagram, you can find me. Facebook, although, like, you know, who's on Facebook anymore? I don't even know. TikTok. If you fancy some like video healing, if you know anyone from Kazakhstan, you're welcome to join them. And I think that's it really, isn't it? Or you could send me an email, book a session, book a distant healing.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard so many people rave about your sessions. So, and then it's fine, and I'm just so happy to have finally met you. So thank you for coming.
You're kind.
Today's Shameless Stories, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Catch you soon.
Bye.